Hey everyone, so for those of you who I haven't met yet, my name is Sarah, and today I'm going to share with you a simple recipe for how to make a matcha latte. This is one of my favorite drinks for when it gets cold out, or honestly all year long I like to drink these. They're really easy to make, they taste really good in my opinion, and they have a lot of health benefits associated with them. So before I get into the step-by-step recipe for how to make this drink, I'm going to go a little bit deeper into the health benefits and why it's really good for you to have. So cha is actually a word meaning tea in Japanese, and matcha is a type of green tea that has been ground or crushed up. So when you're drinking or eating something that has matcha in it, you're consuming the actual tea leaves that have been made into a fine powder. So traditionally in Japan, according to my friend who's half Japanese, she said that matcha is made usually into a tea where you just mix the powder with hot water, and that's how it's consumed there. But matcha lattes are also really popular, and this is where you have the matcha powder in hot water, but in addition you also have some steamed milk added to it. And I'm sure a lot of you have had them before. They're really tasty. You can get them at a lot of cafes, but they're also really easy to make at home. And so the benefits of matcha, as I'm sure a lot of you are aware, drinking green tea has a ton of health benefits. However, when you're drinking matcha, it provides a more potent source of nutrients since you're consuming the actual leaves rather than steeping them into hot water. And matcha is very rich in polyphenols, which is something we've all learned about in bot med. And so as a polyphenol, that makes it pretty high in antioxidants. It's also having antimicrobial, anti-cancer, and anti-inflammatory properties, which is great. Matcha is also high in something called EGCG. So this is actually a catechin, which is a type of phenylpropanoid. And this gives it the properties of being anti-cancer and having protective effects to do with the heart. It also helps with the weight loss aspect having to do with these green tea leaves by boosting your metabolism. And matcha also contains caffeine. So rather than having a cup of coffee where you're going to feel really alert but you might be a bit more jittery, with matcha you're getting that alertness but you're also getting a sense of relaxation, and this is because of something called L-theanine. So that's an added benefit as well. And matcha has somewhat of an acquired taste, so I obviously personally like it. I guess it tastes a bit grassy or earthy for people who haven't had it before. It's a bit bitter, but if you add some honey or maple syrup, you sweeten it up a bit, it's really good. So let's get into the actual video where I'm going to show you how to make a matcha latte. Okay, so for making your matcha latte, of course, you're going to need some matcha powder. This is what I have in my house. It's organic, as you can see. So you need that. You're going to need a milk of your choice. So I personally really like almond milk, so that's the milk I'm going to use today. This is really cool. So I think I got this from David's Tea. It's a bamboo whisk that is actually used in Japan for making matcha hot drinks. So we use this so that you can break up the clumps that are going to form when you add the powder to hot water. So it helps to just smoothen everything out and make sure everything's really well mixed. But if you don't have one, you can use any spoon that you have handy and it'll do basically the same job. You're also going to need something to measure your water. You need a bowl to mix the powder with the water. You're gonna need your mug, and then I personally like to sweeten my drink with some honey. You can use maple syrup or brown sugar, anything you really want. Okay, so when making the matcha latte, you wanna make sure that your water is not boiled, but you want it to be hot still. So on my kettle, I'm able to select the temperature that I want my water to be at. So I want it to be at around 80 degrees rather than 100. And this will ensure that your drink is not too bitter, because if it's boiled, that can happen. So now I'm adding a teaspoon of matcha powder to a third cup of water. And the trick here is that you don't want to add all of the water at once. So I'm adding just enough so that I'm able to create a paste out of the powder and water. And I am doing so by using my bamboo whisk and whisking in a back and forth motion, not so much a circular motion. And you're doing this at a decent pace. You want to do it pretty quickly so that you can get rid of as many of the chunks as you can from the liquid and create a smooth consistency liquid that has a lot of bubbles. And so once you've achieved this, you want to add the rest of the water, and you want to continue once again with your whisking. So here I'm steaming 1¼ cups of milk on medium-high for 5 to 10 minutes while stirring. So now I'm adding my matcha to the milk that's already in my mug. And finally I'm adding a little bit of honey just to make it sweeter. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks so much for watching.